How y'all doing, family? And per usual, Black love, Black pride, Black power. Let's do a favor real quick, and let's check those egos immediately. Also, let's cancel our subscription to White Supremacy Weekly. And as usual, you have to know yourself, to love your people. Now, I'm gonna just jump right into to this moment's topic, and this one is Africa is not a country, it's a continent. And I'm saying this, and I know this is going to sound elementary to some people with some sense and stuff, but you will be surprised how many of our brothers and sisters do not know, baby. You know, baby. You'll be surprised how many of our brothers and sisters are ignorant to this information. So this one should be real short, but I'm going to just pop it out. Africa is not a country, it's a continent full of countries, okay? It's not the United States of Africa. Should be. It's not there yet. With that being said, a lot of times when people talk about Africa, they talk about it as if it's just one big place full of all of the same people. Now, granted, majority of the peoples there have tons of things in common, but they have their little differences and stuff as well. And also, there's noticeable differences too, like differences in like exactly like what kind of print they use and how they dress. Like, for example, Nigeria is really known for the dashiki print and whatnot, whereas Ghana is really known for their kente cloth, and so is Kenya. Kenya and Ghana are actually on opposite sides of Central Africa, but they're really known for kente, but Kenya is also more known for their beaded work and whatnot. And then you have places like Mali and places like parts of Congo and other Central and Northern Central African places, and even I think South Africa too, who are known for mud cloth. These are all different styles of African clothing, but it's not all the same thing. With that being said, that should just be blowing my mind. Okay. Now, the reason why this is important to understand is a lot of times when people talk about Africa, they're not talking with the real base of knowledge and understanding. They see everything from this Eurocentric view instead of from an African view. Here in the States, not all black people are the same across the entire continent. Now, in the United States, America is majority of the North American continent. Canada is a part of this continent too, but Canada is not part of the U.S. However, black people in the South are different from black people over here on the West Coast, are different from black people in the Northwest, are different from black people in the Midwest, are different from black people on the East Coast. Black people differ state to state. We have different little kicks in our culture and whatnot. We have different ways of communicating. We have different languages. People ask me all the time, oh, so do you speak African? And I look at them like, there's some people who, when I say that, they're going to be like, yeah, what's wrong with saying that? But I'm going to have to look at you like this. Do I speak African? Fuck you mean, do I speak African? There's thousands of African languages. Now, it's one thing to ask me, do you speak Twi? Do you speak Igbo? Do you speak Yoruba? Do you speak Lingala? Do you speak, those are real questions, because understanding that Africa is not a continent, it's different countries, which means there's different groups of people, different ethnic groups of people with different languages and tongues. You're not going to ask a dumbass question like that, okay? That's like asking a black person in America, do you speak American? Fuck you mean? American is not a language. Do I speak English? Do I speak American English? American style English? And then that's the thing, there's so many languages here too. And even still with different swings. So like in the whole Southeast, we've got Creole, which is a combination of a bunch of languages, including French, English, indigenous and some more shit. We got people that speak with all kinds of different twangs and accents and stuff. Yet if someone came up to a black person in America and who wasn't from here and asked, oh, do you speak American, they're gonna look at you like, anyone with some sense is gonna be like, wait, what do you mean? Like, do I speak English? Clearly I speak English, but what do you mean, do I speak American? Like, it's not gonna make much sense to you. Understanding our differences is not being divisive. It makes it easier to deal with each other. Understanding that we have a ton in common, but respecting and acknowledging those differences allows us to really be able to cohabitate. And also knowing something as simple as there are different countries in Africa who each have their own cultures, traditions, even though a lot of things are the same thing with different names and stuff, still just period, something different, something as simple as the different languages or like the different certain styles and certain little customs here and there and stuff. Understanding that Africa is not all one big place will help you understand that you're going to meet different African people from all over. I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of different kinds of continents people. I've met Tanzanians, Kenyans, Ugandans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Congolese, people from Mali. I've met people from Tanzania. I've met people from Sudan. I know plenty of Northeast Africans, Eritreans, Somalians, Ethiopians, you know, and they all have their own things to bring to the table. They only got their little flavors and spices. And then also understanding that Africa isn't on one place will help y'all stop with this coon-ass Negro logic. It really would. Because when we talk about things like texturism and African features and this and the third, everybody wants to run to Northeast Africa. I hope this comes up flipped right, like on to you guys watching this. But according to the way I'm facing right now, the whale face part, because Africa's kind of shaped like Miss Pearl from Pearl from SpongeBob, and like her face in nose part is the nugget right here, and then it goes down some, comes up, little horn, and then, you know, it's the rest of that. This little section over here of Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, people want to pretend like, and we could throw Morocco, which is more this way, in there too. People want to pretend like every single African looks like these people. A lot of these people, not all of them, a lot of them are fair skinned, you know, have different hair textures, you know, different curl patterns, etc. And the reason for that is there was a lot of mixing. Now, I'm not saying all of it was consensual. I'm not saying this and the third. I'm saying that we're not going to sit here and pretend like colonization and infiltration and mixing and watering down African genes and whatnot was not happening, especially in Northeast Africa. And I'm saying Northeast Africa because East Africa, where there's Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Wutu, all those other, Kenya, all these just directly east countries in Africa, they all still look like and have most of the things that are in common with the majority of the rest of Africa. Northeast Africa is very different. When you listen to their music, it sounds more Middle Eastern than it does like the rest of Africa. When you look at them, a lot of them look more Middle Eastern than they do like the rest of Africans. You know, cultures, you know, a lot of them speak Arabic, which is not African, it's Middle Eastern. But you went and a lot of them, you know, speak, some of them even speak Italian. Like, I forgot the name. Eritreans speak this language. Triginia, and my Eritrean homeboy had passed away, and I went to his funeral, and they were speaking Triginia. And I'm also, you know, and I'm reading, you know, it written out in the obituary, and I can understand bits and pieces of it because they're speaking Spanish, like it's mixed into that language. That's not Spanish is not African. And the only reason why I know Spanish is because I have family in Central America who speak Spanish as well as our African language, which is Garifuna. You know, so when I'm in Central America and I'm talking to non-black people, I got to speak Spanish. So I'm gonna pick up on Spanish words because the shit comes from Spain, you know. And the Spaniards are the ones who had invaded. And the Italians, I do believe, are the ones who had invaded and infiltrated. And even though they did not technically conquer, they did basically colonize Northeast Africa, as well as the Middle East, the Arabs as well. So a lot of Northeast Africans have these skin tones, these features, these hair types and whatnot because of the generational mixing in and out of Arab and Spaniard and Italian blood. So when people want to talk about colorism, textures, and this and the third, and they want to say, oh, well, people in Africa, da, 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 da. I'm like, well, let's look at the facts. Majority of those people that you're talking about, we gonna pretend like there aren't mixed people in Africa? Do we all not know who Trevor Noah is? Are we gonna pretend like, you know, there's non-black people who are not, or there aren't non-black people in Africa? Fuck you mean, you know? There's all kinds of mixes. You got a lot of Asians migrating to all over the Congo. The French invaded the Congo. You got a lot of them mixed with French and stuff as well. And if they're not mixed with French, they're colonized by the French, so they basically act French. You know, Asians are inhabiting the Congo. Asians are taking over Somalia. Asians, you know, so you think we ain't gonna, and they're purposely mixing in order to get, you know, rights and stuff. And then what they do, they get the birthright, they get the this and the third, they get ties to the land, and then they mix it right back on Asian, you know, or they mix right back on European, or right back to they mix right back, you know. So this stuff is not coming from nowhere. This stuff is happening, but we too busy thinking that, you know, everything's the same over there. So when we make these foolish ass arguments, you know, acting like most people in Africa, I don't know, look like Rosario Dawson than Lupita, then you're making no sense. Okay, same with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. Majority of them not been, you know, and in Central America, majority of them, you could tell because they look like me. And they look like probably most of you guys watching this video. You know, we can't just go around trying to accept any and everybody because it makes us feel better, because at the end of the day, we don't benefit from that at all. But little quick petty lesson of the day: Africa is a continent full of countries, and it's very helpful for Black people to do as much research as they can on those different countries. It's very important on that journey, or on that concept of knowing yourself. I took a DNA test and found out I'm Congolese, Ghanaian, and Nigerian. You know, I've got a little Senegal and Mali and stuff in there too, but it's not like really prominent. My major things are Congolese, Ghanaian, and Nigerian, which is very helpful to know because I do a lot of my research on those three places. It gives me a focal point to start, you know, to find out more about myself. I dabble in the Kemetic stuff. I have knowledge of the Kemetic stuff, but I do not come from my bloodline. My people, my direct people, don't come from Kemet. I'm not going to call it Egypt. I'm going to call it Kemet because I'm not talking about those mulattoes that are running around destroying everything right now. I'm talking about the original people in that much larger landmass of what that country originally was. I see a ton of Black people loving to run towards Kemet, or even Egypt, which makes it even worse. And when you tell them, well, you know, have you looked into West Africa? Most of us come from West Africa. They don't want nothing to do with that. They don't know about the Ashanti Kingdom. They don't know about the universities in Timbuktu. They don't know about the castles and the this and the that and the everything that we've accomplished in West Africa, because everyone's looking at the wrong place. And because we still psychologically are buying into these stigmas of these negative things about Africa, and we've only shed this light on this supposed pale people in Kemet or in Egypt or whatever, there's still this dissonance toward African people, towards going to, everybody's talking about you got to know your roots, you know your roots, but everybody's running to Egypt, and that's not our roots. You know, to be honest, majority of African people in the whole Western diaspora, we come from West Africa. We come from Congo, Mali, we come from Nigeria, Ghana. We are coastal Africans. Majority of us are coastal Africans. You'll find very few of us who are not. I'm not saying that that we don't exist, that there aren't some of us out here who are from, you know, more extraneous places, but majority of our asses got drugged from Central and the West Coast of Africa, period. So if you're gonna know yourself, you gotta really find out about you. You got to know you. You got to follow your path and your journey to your origin story. Which is important. So I'm going to wrap it up at that. Remember, you got to know yourself, to love your people. As usual, Black love, Black pride, and Black power. And ultimately, check those egos at the play button. And fam, I love y'all, and I will talk to y'all next video. Peace.